One of the cameras I haven't really talked too much about when I was doing my research and trying to contrast and compare to different point and shoot or compact cameras is the Canon. I'm slowing down so I don't miss it down. It's G7X, not GX7. G7X Mark III. So I actually liked that camera. I currently, if you go to Canon's review farm on their internal website, I have the highest rated review for that camera. And I still think pretty highly of it. I think that for a 1-inch sensor, it does remarkably well. It's the Sony sensor, so it gets all of the dynamic range and push and pull for that. And in some ways, like, I enjoy not having a zoom and having to actually work on framing my shots, but in a lot of ways, having a zoom lens is much easier. So, I'm not going to get into that more philosophical discussion right now about which is better. I think for where I'm at right now in my life and in my career, the GR is where I'm at. But a lot of the criticisms that camera has had, really just two, I feel like are invalid. The first being that the autofocus is unusable. Autofocus there is better than the GR. I'm not trying to cause fights here, but it is from a modern autofocusing standpoint. It's a better autofocusing system. Now, it's not the dual pixel autofocus that Canon is known for. It's not as good as the Sony point and shoot and their algorithm, because the reason why there's an issue with that camera, just so you're aware, is that Canon has built their autofocusing system into building their own sensors, and they build part of the autofocusing system into the chips, where Sony, it's all part of an algorithm, and it's all like firmware, which Canon has not funded their own research and design teams to build that. They've built it a different way. So when they brought in the Sony chip that isn't built in with Canon's own built-in chip autofocus, they had to kind of start from scratch. So it's not as advanced as what Sony has made, because they typically have put their R&D elsewhere. But it's also not bad. It's actually pretty good. So, people complaining that it hunts a little bit during video, I feel like it's really easy to turn autofocus off during video. But for most things, like if you need it to track separate things while you're talking or doing like one of those reveal videos or whatever they call it, it's fine. It's not bad. I also feel like people who were complaining about the video, specifically the 4K and 120 slow motion video overheating, I feel like if what you're looking for in that camera is to shoot long form videos like what I'm shooting now, and talk for a half hour at 4K into a small camera, one, you're going to kill your battery, and two, you're going to overheat the camera because there's no heat sinks on cameras that size. I don't know of cameras that size that can shoot continuous 4K indefinitely on a small battery. I don't know of their existence. The ones that most people talk about are the Sony RX10 series. I think they're on the 10.4 or something like that, or R4 or something. Sony naming conventions. But those cameras are huge, and they have huge batteries, and they have room for heat sinks. What I'm talking when I say a actual compact camera, it's not simply a fixed lens camera, but something that could fit in your pocket, your purse, something that you could have on your person as an everyday carry and take it with you everywhere that you go, because you never know when shooting conditions will arise. When a subject will come, when you will pass something that you're like, oh my God, the lighting here is so perfect. You don't know. So the purpose of me switching to a compact, in my mind, Like, one of the reasons why I was mentally able to give up as much as I did in terms of quality and performance was being able to capture those moments, the unexpected moments. So the idea of switching to something like an RX 10 just wasn't there for me. Now, again, I understand that other people's needs are going to vary from my own, and I'm not trying to tell you that you should never get an RX 10. It doesn't meet my needs, but again, like, if you're more video focused and you're in a studio and you're looking for something that can do high-end video in a studio setting, I can see the purpose for that. But I also don't see the purpose for it as a photography tool. I don't see it as the purpose for a lot of things. I mean, that being said, you have a really long reach with that set of cameras. So, like, if you're trying to go on safari or something and you're outdoors and you're trying to, like, do birds or something, maybe, I don't know. Obviously you're not doing birds with a GR or a GX7 for that matter, but regardless. So I feel like it has really good 1080, which is what I shoot on, and it has decent autofocus. And if you need it for pickups, because most of the times when I've had those sorts of compacts, it's as a C camera. So when you work professionally, it's the idea that, like, hey, my A camera went down for whatever reason, there's technical issues, I have a backup. And I would carry that with me everywhere that I went. And for that purpose, having 10 minutes of 4K for pickups isn't bad. It's just not. Now, what I don't like about that camera, the reasons why I would not recommend it to someone now over the GR, which again, like, everything in photography is conflating, right? Like, it's contrasting. Like, you have two different things that are opposite. You can't have both of them. Like, there's antithetical things that are just physics based in photography, where you can't have all the things. There's always a trade-off. So if you need a small pocketable zoom lens, maybe it is the best for that. Also, having a mic jack, which I've lamented not having on the GR. It's the one thing that I'm really hoping on the GR4 happens, to where they have a mic jack in it. So, if you don't need the mic jack, maybe one of the Sony models is actually better, because, again, one of the things I've said about that I liked about it so much was its video capabilities. What really ultimately made it unusable for me is that it's chintzy. Like, the back control dial stopped working altogether for me after about a year and a half of owning it. So not only did it make me not want to use a camera that's frustrating because it's broken, but it makes me not want to buy any future Canon products. And I realize that they make higher end products, but, like, I don't know, like, when parts just stop working and falling off of it kind of thing, I don't really trust you to buy something high-end if you're making chintzier things. It's not like I dropped it or, was treating it harshly. It just, from regular use, stopped working in a way that I am much harder and use the GR much more. Control dial works, all the buttons are poppy, everything in the camera works like it should. It does everything it says it's going to and more, and there's no problems. So, yeah, that's the real reason I no longer would recommend that camera. And if you need a zoom on that sort of a camera, just know that you might need to rebuy that camera every year or so, and that's worth it to you.